right when I start and go live, something terrible happens. It's not the end of the world. Look what I did. I broke this. Not just now, I broke this a hot minute ago. But I have to like do some janky ass situation and I still have to tape it. It just fell on the floor, you know what I mean? It wasn't anything dramatic, but it's a fucking piece of plastic. So let me make sure this screen's down a little bit. It's a little too high, you know what I'm saying? There we go. Oh, that looks better, doesn't it? Hello, boys and girls. How are you today? Welcome to the No Club. We are going to continue our comprehensive analysis of lethal force in the United States. All right. So, today, before we get into it, I watched the third episode of The Last of Us, which is a video game, if you do not know. And I played that recently with my girlfriend. She switched me onto it. Very scary. Fungus infection, terrifying, pandemic, and I saw the third episode today. I was bawling. I loved it. I love the creativity that the creators took with it. It was so beautiful. That relationship, the gay representation was just spot on. The aging, all of it was so gorgeous. I don't want to ruin anything if you haven't seen it yet. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but episode 3 is very different than the game because in the game, a character named Bill, it's not hinted, it's explicitly said that that's his partner, Frank, who in the game something bad happens to Frank. All right. And they took the entire episode to, they created their world and it was beautiful. So that was not in the game, but in the show. So fucking stunning. Let me move this closer. Nice. My body's feeling a little strange right now. I came from the gym. I took a shower. I ate lots of food. And now I'm kind of in this space where I'm crashing a little. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm not super regulated yet to be expressive, but it doesn't fucking matter. I'm still doing it because it's important and I don't always have to be on like that to follow through on things. So we're going to jump right in. We last left off on page 29. We're going to finish the end of this and we were learning about the supplemental homicide reports to the FBI, which are basically voluntary. Police officers do not have to report that at all. We're learning about NVDRS, the National Violent Death Reporting System, and the vital statistics. Vital statistics, yeah. So we're just learning a lot about the stats and how things go reported or go unreported. We're still at the beginning of this book and understanding how the police force works in some degree, understanding lethal force. So we're at arrest-related deaths in the Bureau of Justice statistics. As noted, the third program of data collection. Oh, did I say we're reading When Police Kill by Franklin E. Zimring? I don't even think I mentioned that, but it's in the title. Also, trigger warning. It's also in the descriptions, always trigger warning. But for this one specifically, murder, violent police killings, racism. Okay, let's go. As noted, the third program of data collection and reporting in the federal government that is concerned with killings by police is the count kept by the Bureau of Justice Statistics, an office in the Department of Justice that gathers and analyzes information on the operation of criminal justice agencies and actors. With congressional passage of the Death in Custody Reporting Act, all of that is capitalized, in 2000, the BJS is responsible for gathering data about deaths that happen while citizens are involved in custodial relationships with criminal justice agencies. the BJS created 3 separate data gathering programs under the authority of the Act. The first 2 of which survey, respectively, deaths in prisons in the United States and deaths in jails and similar holding facilities. For the arrest-related deaths reports established in 2003, data is gathered from the accounts of deaths that law enforcement agencies provide. But each state has a state-level program coordinator to engineer compliance by the reporting state and local agencies. Lots of information there. So I believe he's going to get into a table soon because it's one listed at the top of the page. So I'm not going to give you those facts yet. We're going to continue on. The ARD program, the arrest-related deaths reports program, seeks to compile information on all deaths that have happened during interactions between law enforcement officers and citizens, including encounters that don't involve arrests or criminal investigation. The term arrest-related is used to create continuity with the programs for jail and prison deaths. Okay, interesting. Where custody is a necessary element of the event. The arrest-related deaths reported for police and policing in the BJS program includes information on many deaths, for example, suicides, death from natural causes, and accidents, where a police officer doesn't injure the descendant and, in that sense, didn't cause the death, whereas both the quote, legal intervention, end quote, deaths in the vital statistics and the, quote, justifiable homicides in the SHR reports are restricted to deaths caused by police use of force. So just some vernacular, some distinction. The arrest-related deaths are not about lethal force. Okay, but legal intervention and justifiable homicides are. It's good to know this information when understanding the data. Table 2.1 shows the distribution of arrest-related deaths for the years 2003 to 2009 by category of causes used in BJS reporting. So before he gives a little bit of a description here, and then I'm going to look at that table. The 6 out of 10 arrest-related deaths that are classified as homicides by the police are the categorical equivalent of the justified homicides included in the FBI data and the legal interventions data included in the vital statistics information. Okay, so we have the arrest-related deaths. So I guess under that umbrella, one can include law enforcement homicides. So it is related, but it's not, it's an umbrella term. It can underneath be in there because you have a bunch of other things listed. So we have the unknown. We have 5.7. Natural causes is 5. Accidents 5.7. Intoxication 10.6. And then suicide 11. What did I say? 10.6? Yeah, 10.9. There we go. Intoxication, 10.9. Suicide, 11.2. And then law enforcement homicides, 60.9, the largest for arrest-related deaths. Figure 2.3 shows, and that feels so wrong, like so small, actually. Figure 2.3 shows the numbers of reported homicides by law enforcement generated by the ARD for the 7 consecutive years, 2003, 2009. As indicated, the volume of police homicides reported in the ARD program starts quite close to the number indicated in the FBI supplement. Okay, so we have in figure 2.3, number of reported homicides by law enforcement. In 2003, it is 376. 2004, 375. 2005, it is 377. 2006, 447, 2007, 455, 2008, 404, 2009, 497. Okay. As indicated, the volume of police homicides reported in the ARD program starts quite close to the number indicated in the FBI supplemental homicide reports for the first 3 years and then trends modestly higher for the years after 2005. These arrest-related death reports came from the department departments that experienced a death during the year so that the factual details about how the death happened came from the law enforcement agency. In this respect, though compliance with the reporting requirement is overseen at the state level, the same kinds of problems seen in the unaudited information provided by agencies with interest in the lawfulness of killings reported in the FBI program are found as well in the case history details of the BJS arrest-related death reports. The federal agency collecting the ARD reports did, however, make a more sustained effort than the FBI to remedy the undercount of arrest-related deaths when it resumed collecting data for calendar 2011. When the data submitted from the agencies was compared to that of the cases of killings by police submitted to the SHR programs, the Bureau of Justice Statistics estimated that the true annual number of police killings from 2003 through 2009 and 2011 was over 900. Because all of the official estimates were much lower than this, the Bureau did not publish its 2011 survey number and has focused instead on designing a study of the volume of killings by police that will use crowdsourced reports of arrest-related deaths to create a multi-method estimate of total killings. I consider that research project in further detail below, following the discussion of crowdsourcing collection of data on killings by police. Because the people in law enforcement aren't doing what, if it's not required of them to report, why would they? They always look out for their own, they always have. The data required in the ARD reports on the circumstances of deaths is more detailed than that necessary for either the, quote, justifiable homicides by police in the FBI supplemental homicide reports or the, quote, legal intervention cases included in the National Vital Statistics Program. The 2013 questionnaire used by the program indicates an incident report with details on the victim, the precipitating circumstances, and the use of weapons and injury to persons inflicted by the eventual descendant. While information on the weapons that cause death are requested, the level of force, particularly the number of shots fired, is not addressed in the survey. Nor does the incident report include a request for information on the number of officers present or firing weapons. The name, and therefore presumably the contact information of the person filling out the report, are requested in the incident report so that some fact-checking or auditing of the accuracy of the data would theoretically be possible either at state level, by the state reporting coordinators, or by central staff at the BJS or its agents. But whether auditing was attempted in the early years of the data collection is not known. It's not looking good for the oversight. And it's like, duh. We know this. I mean, it seems almost like common knowledge because of how much of a problem it is in this country. The research efforts to date of the BJS program have demonstrated that existing reporting systems undercount the actual total of killings by police by about half. The sources of these gaps in reportage have not been clearly identified, and the design of more accurate reporting systems is just beginning. Pisses me off. So the BJS analysis has, in essence, delegitimized the current official sources of information on killings by police. What now remains is to design a comprehensive count of police killings and an accurate and detailed description of the circumstances of killings by police. One foundation for building such a system would be the current reporting programs in the federal government. In the following, I consider a second useful source for developing more accurate counts and descriptions of police killings. Crowdsourcing. In the age of the internet. While the official statistics, maybe somebody should get on this and create a new job entirely for themselves. Find out all the information that they can by crowdsourcing and be like, this needs to be a position in the actual police force. Also, we need to completely demilitarize our police. How do we get that done? I don't know. I don't believe we're at a point where I think we're past the point where policy and peaceful protest is going to make a difference. I said that last time. I know I'm not alone in that thinking too. While the official statistics on killings by police depend on reporting by government agencies, either coroners or police, a second and somewhat independent source of information about deaths caused by police can be produced by surveying and analyzing reports of killings that are obtained by citizens from media or word-of-mouth accounts and are collected at websites established for that purpose. Because any violent killing is important local news, very few known killings by police officers go unmentioned in local media. Once specialized websites are established and used, he's saying this like it doesn't exist. Does it still not exist? Something I need to... 27. Unofficial aggregations independent of those reported by official agencies could provide estimates of the volume of killings by police and accounts of the circumstances of police killings. In fact, a number of websites now aggregate reports of killings by police provided by the public. Okay, so they do, in fact. Wikipedia has one of the most established sites. Really? Wikipedia? Color me shocked. Facebook now has a, quote, fatal encounters, end quote, page. I don't trust Facebook. And a number of less well-known sites exist with some, what, more dramatic titles. Deadspin and killedbypolice.net. I mean, there you go. I don't think that's that dramatic of a title, if I'm being quite honest. It's what it is. The aggregations of hearsay accounts included in these crowdsourcing sites are, of course, far from perfect measures of the true volume of killings by police. Of course. Such sites might undercount the actual volume of police killings if some killings go unreported by media or undisclosed by police. True. This is not probably a common occurrence with killings by police, but is probably much more common when police inflict non-fatal wounds. A second problem with the decentralized aggregation of media reports is the possibility of double counting. Okay, well, yes, he's going over the pros and cons of crowdsourcing. You got to do both. The same event might be associated in different reports with different data and victim names and thus counted twice in an estimate of total volume. And of course, the sources for factual errors are manifold in crowdsourcing reports. The media or the police might get their facts wrong. Media or the police might get their facts wrong, often do. Or a media report might simply reproduce a police-provided account of the facts of a case that is inaccurate. There you go. Some media reports might trust without justification the accounts given by critics of the police. There may even be times when non-fatal injuries get reported as fatalities. Example, the Mark Twain, quote, reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated condition. Some of these problems of factual accuracy in crowdsourced reports cannot be corrected even via careful analysis of aggregated reports, but many problems can be discovered and corrected if the name, date, and place identifications reported are accurate. A careful observer can eliminate double counting, and the careful analysis of crowdsourced accounts of killings by police can improve knowledge of police killings in three ways. First, the media accounts can provide a more accurate estimate of the volume of killings than any of the existing official aggregations, while official numbers from the FBI and vital statistics cluster under 500 per year. The crowdsourced estimate total rates are roughly double the official totals, and the BJS-sponsored Monte Carlo analysis of the official estimate suggests that the larger number is more likely accurate. Second, because the cases reported in the crowdsourced aggregations are a much larger fraction of the true number of police killings, the larger sample provided by these larger groups of cases will provide a more useful understanding of events to find out the true demographic profile of victims and the types of incidents that lead to police killings. We do just need more fucking information. We also need less police and we need less militarization of them. It's not just it's good to understand, but like this, just understanding is not going to fix the problem. Conversely, since the official statistics are based on only 50% of the true volume of cases, there may very well reflect a biased sample of the victims and situations involved. Media account of killing by police offer one further advantage over the official reports provided by police, which will generally report only the police department's version of events. Media accounts may provide indications of conflicting versions of the events leading up to the killing. Even when the conflict cannot be resolved by further analysis, knowing when conflicting accounts exist and what issues are said to be the subjects of the conflicts can be an important element in our understanding of a given case. While reports of killings by police have been gathered in sites like Wikipedia for some time, the analysis of case descriptions to eliminate double counting and exclude cases that shouldn't be classified as killings by police is a relatively recent phenomenon. The data analysis website 538.com compiled a count of police killings for calendar 2014. I have to say that so much. And here we go. What does that mean, Karma? If you are watching from the beginning, this is the second time that my mic has fallen. They don't want the information out. The universe. It means nothing. It means that gravity exists. That's what it fucking means. Let's continue on. I just got to find my place again. Here we go. The volume of police killings 538.com estimated for 2014 was 1,100, well more than twice the volume of annual cases for 2011 and 2012 counted in the justifiable homicides. I hate it. I hate that terminology, but that's what it is. Reported in the SHR reports and in the legal intervention. Also fucking hate that. Estimates for vital statistics. 2, newspapers provided detailed accounts of each case of police killings they found mentioned online with credible factual details for 2015. Both the Washington Post and the Guardian have reported all cases that met their criteria during calendar 2015. All right, there is... Interesting. Wow, it's like all over the place. It's like, there's such different... Okay, so this is for vital statistics in 2012. He has a little... estimate. I'm going to read it right now. A figure, 2.4. Vital statistics in 2012 was at 551. Supplemental homicide in 2012 was 426. The ADR, arrest deaths related? Wait, hold on. I have to go back and just like double check that I know what the fuck ADR means. Yeah, it should be ARD. I just found a typo. There's nothing wrong with a typo. Happens all the time. Human error. The ARD, arrest-related deaths, not ADR, in 2009 is 497. Now, the Washington Post 2015, which, we're jumping around here on times, is 986. The Guardian 2015... and that was shooting deaths, and this is total killings, is 1,134. And then we have the 538.com, okay, some crowdsourcing information here, of 2014 is 1,100. The Post gathered data on all police killings by shootings. The Guardian included all killings by police by all weapons and also included deaths caused by tasers and other mechanisms not typically regarded as lethal weapons. Like your fucking boot. The Post shooting only deaths totaled 986 during 2015. The Guardian reported 1,146 total deaths for that year. Interesting. The Guardian reported 1,146 total deaths for that year. It looks like I found another typo because up top it says 1,134 and then here it says 1,146. So I'm going to go with the higher number there. Either way, it's fucking a large amount. The disadvantage of the shootings only restriction is that a number of deaths from police use of force may be omitted. The broader inclusions of all deaths caused by police may mix different types of attacks together in potentially misleading ways. It is not likely that police using tasers intend to kill or realize that death might be a result. because they're fucking stupid. That said, the broad inclusion of killings by police by all weapons in the Guardian data set is probably the better strategy, because cases, while usually non-lethal effects can be separated separately and analyzed or excluded for some purposes. Moreover, the cases that never enter the post's pool of killings are not available for later analysis. Yeah, the Guardian, the total amount is better, yeah. Now, figure 2.4 compares estimated annual totals from the three crowdsourced surveys now available for 2014 and 2015. Sorry, just double checking. While the definitions and periods covered vary, all three analyses provide estimates of the same magnitude, at least double the levels reported in the SHR and vital statistics programs, as well as the most recently published ARD estimates for 2009. Excuse me. While the serious analysis of crowdsourced data on police killings is only beginning, just as all manifestations of the public importance of the topic date to no earlier than 2014 and 2015, which is fucking crazy, it has already changed the best estimate of the size of the phenomenon in the United States and questioned the validity of every official measure of the subject in national statistics. You can't trust it. You can't trust it. In the following, I will summarize the state of knowledge of police killings in the United States in 2015 and describe the central puzzles about such killings that must be resolved in the near future. Wow. The state of knowledge. I enjoy that description for just what we know and what we don't know. The state of knowledge. Known and unknown dimension of police killings. A 2015 analysis. While it was never published, the most important study in the account of federal statistics on police killing is the analysis and estimates described in the previous section that were recently generated by the Bureau of Justice Statistics Survey of Police Killings. The BJS program had reported police killings over a 7-year period from 2003 to 2009. One reason this program did not continue on a routine basis was that the legislation and appropriation that had created the entire deaths in custody program in 2000 was not reauthorized when the initial authorization expired in 2016. So the BJS data collection was an orphan program that was continued at lower visibility and effort after 2006. But we've seen that the BJS did conduct a study of calendar 2011, and it also commissioned a study by the Research Triangle Institute, RTI, its contractor in the Arrest-Related Deaths Program, the ARD, to compare the coverage of cases that have been reported by the ARD program and those reported by the FBI's supplemental reports for the years 2003, 2009, and 2011. While the two programs reported approximately the same volume of killings, for most years around 400, an attempt to match the cases suggested that the case reported by the FBI only matched individuals reported in cases in the ARD survey about half the time. And as many of the FBI cases were not reported in the ARP report for the same year. The capacity of the FBI sample to report the cases found in the ADR program was ADR program. They must mean the ARD. Again, super annoying. Another typo. Twice here. Who published this? I see. You gotta double check, baby. Cases found in the ARD program was even worse. More than half the cases reported by the ARD program were not reported in the SHR reports for the same year. Figure 2.5, taken from the BJS technical report, shows the estimated overlap of the two federal statistics programs. Interesting. So this is figure 2.5. Underneath, it's estimated proportions of law enforcement homicide universe. What the universe covered by each source with no agency adjustment. That title is ridiculous. 2003 and 2009, and 2011. You have SHR only is 23%. The ARD and SHR is 23%. Unobserved is 28%, and the ARD only is 26%. The senior authors of the RTI analysis that was published described the logic of their methodology as follows. Okay, let's get more insight into this. BJS conducted a capture-recapture based analysis to estimate the number of law enforcement homicides in the United States and the extent to which the ARD program and the SHR captured those homicides. Capture-recapture analysis uses the overlap between two or more lists to estimate the total size of the population from which the lists were taken. Simply stated, as the amount of overlap increases, the estimated underlying population size converges on the size of the lists. The number of analogies can be used to illustrate this. Consider two people randomly and independently selecting objects from a container, for example. When the first person selects his objects, he marks them, returns them to the container. The second person then makes her selection, taking note of how many of her selections have been marked by the first person. If the first person selected and marked 10 objects, and the second person also draws 10, with 9 being marked by the first person, we can see that the population of objects must be larger than 10, as they have observed 11 between them. Since the overlap between the two draws was very high, it is also intuitive to think that both people drew nearly the entire population. The population size is fairly close to the size of the independent lists or draw. Conversely, if the second person draws 10 objects, and only one of those has been marked by the first person, it is likely that neither individual observed very close to the full population of objects. While law enforcement homicides are believed to be a relatively rare event, there are more than 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States, and approximately 1,200 of those agencies reported a law enforcement homicide to the ARD program during the years studied 2003, 2009, and 2011, and less than 1,000 reported to the SHR. The number of law enforcement homicides in the non-reporting agencies is unknown, so BJS conducted 2 sets of capture-recapture analysis to account for this missing information. Together, these 2 approaches provide a range for the best and worst case scenarios for underreporting in the ARD. The fact that thousands of agencies didn't report to either the ARD program or the SHR program made any single estimate of the actual volume of killings by police each year depend on whether and to what extent the analysis assumed that these uncounted agencies had killings during the period under study. Yeah. Rather than a single guess on this issue, the analysis prepared 2 separate estimates. For their first analysis, the authors assumed that the agencies that reported to either program accounted for all the police killings in the 8 years, 2003, 2009, 2011, when data from both programs was available. On this assumption, they estimate that a total of 7,427 killings actually occurred during the period, an average of 929 each year when the aggregate is divided by the 8 years covered. If, however, there were killings by officers as well in the agencies that didn't report to either program, then the 8-year estimate of total killings is adjusted upward to 9,937 killings, an annual total of 1,217. Without better data on the missing agencies, I suggest that it is prudent to estimate 929 deaths per year as a lower bound and 1,217 as an upper bound of the mean annual average of deaths for the 8 years. The RTI analysis improves knowledge about police killings in the United States in a few different ways. First, the range of plausible estimates at its minimum of 929 rather clearly shows that all the numbers from official sources for the years studied should be discounted. The analysis impeaches the validity of all the annual volume reports of all the federal reporting programs, not least the ARD's arrest-related deaths total published for 2003 and 2009. Instead, the minimum average annual volume that the analysis produced, 929, is in fact the best current minimum estimate of volume of police killings, though the estimates in the past were based on the 2 federal reporting programs that were used to produce the information. The second clear result from the RTI analysis is that it independently established an annual deaths estimate rather close to those being generated by the crowdsourced data sets analyzed by the media efforts. By confirming the population parameters of the crowdsourced analyses, the RTI analysis also makes the case for the utility of these internet-based data sets in providing answers for questions about the nature and circumstances of killings by police, the subject of the next chapter. And we will need all the data sets we can get, because the proof of such partial coverage in the RTI analysis undermines the existing federal sources as information about the character of police killings. You cannot trust the federal sources, is what this RTI analysis has proven. The victims and the location. It says you can't, undermines the existing federal sources of information about the character, the victims, and the location. And also, about the number, because it undermines the whole thing. It was known that the SHR reports didn't include Florida, and Florida is fucked up. New York City, and other departments. But the BJS commissioned RTI analysis suggests that the SHR reports covered fewer than half of all police killings, and that is much more of a gap than the known non-inclusions would predict. We don't know why the SHR reports are so incomplete. Really? We don't know why? Really? I think we know why. I think that's a little tongue-in-cheek. I mean, I understand he's the data guy. He's going clearly off the information that is given. But we know why they're underreporting. And the almost as great undercount in the ARD statistics is even more of a mystery. I really don't think it's that much of a fucking mystery. So each of these 3 national statistical systems reports no more than half of the true volume of cases. And that's at the minimum. Remember, that's at the minimum. That's still even no more than, that's why he says no more than half. Because it's gotta be so much more. I mean, Florida didn't report, New York didn't report. I mean, that's just, how many more? It's probably a huge fucking number. The samples that get reported to the FBI or BJS may be biased as well as incomplete. Maybe. I'm going to retract that and say definitely. And this mysterious loss of half of all cases only compounds the problem. It's not a fucking mystery. Compounds the problems that arise because only the police version of events is the basis for information on most killings. This double disadvantage, the lack of fact-checking of the one-sided accounts provided by police and the absence of half of all cases from the surveys, will lead me to rely on cases found by The Guardian and on facts available in news links on those cases in my address in the next chapter of the circumstances and justification for killings by police. There's no justification, but I understand the terminology that is used as compared to the data reported by the 2 U.S. statistical systems. The crowdsourced data set contains a far larger proportion of the actual police killings, and there is no reason to suppose that the factual accounts in such reports are any worse than the unaudited accounts the police provide to the FBI, and that police departments give to state coordinators in the ARD program. For this reason, any plan of the Bureau of Justice Statistics to use internet accounts to enrich efforts to build a foundation for better reporting would be fully justified. But our capacity to estimate the true volume of police killings and to determine the circumstances and the victims of the larger number of crowdsourcing killings is perspective only. Understanding of the true volume of killings in 2014, 2015 is within reach, and we know that official estimates for earlier years were quite low, but the real trends over recent years cannot be measured with confidence. We can compare the demographic characteristic of descendants in the official statistics with those found in the news accounts. If there are no major discrepancies, it will provide some reassurance that the undercounting wasn't also a distorted sample of police killings. But any discrepancies between the official profile of such killings and the broader sample now in hand cannot be easily resolved for earlier periods. I'm going to stop there. I know that was actually quite short tonight. I understand that, but that is the end of this chapter. And before we get into this, to chapter 3 is who dies where and why. And he did say he's going to be using the crowdsourcing information, and also double checking that there are not major discrepancies between the two. I'm going to predict that there will be major discrepancies between the ARD and the, I've said it enough, it's like I should be able to, the SHR program, the vital statistics, and the volunteer program of the supplemental homicide reports. So it's just all very interesting and extremely eye-opening, not shocking, just eye-opening, so you can get a deeper and broader understanding to just the lack of accountability entirely within the police force, and how it's a major problem that I believe a lot of people believe. I believe a lot of people believe. I hope, crossing my fingers, that the demilitarization of police is absolutely necessary. Defunding of police is absolutely fucking necessary. And those things go hand in hand. We don't need police officers to have, access to like drone strikes and all these fucking crazy gadgets, and the most of our tax dollars going to the military and going to our police who have been militarized. In my last live, someone said that they had a friend who got into the police force in 3 weeks and then was out on the force after 4 months. That is, I believe they were talking about the same person. I don't think it was two separate people. That's really, again, not surprising, but should be terrifying. That's fucking terrifying to have that much power and control. And if you were drawn to that field, I'm just gonna say it, there's something a little off. You have I don't know many, I really don't know many police officers that go into the force and being like, oh, I just want to help people. I want to, help make the world a better place by using force, period. Not lethal force, just force. Because that is policing. Policing in America is all about force, and it's just fucking scary. It's fucking scary. Anyway, we have so many issues, and everything is intersectionality. Everything is connected. It's the patriarchy, it's white supremacy, it's the anger that men hold, it's our government pushing us down and keeping us poor, and there's so much going on. But like I said, I am at the end of this chapter, and I don't want to start the next one because it's going to be a long one. You're speaking facts right now. I appreciate that. I try to only speak facts. I definitely also am going to speak opinions quite often. So I guess a little bit of facts, a little bit of opinions, but the shit pisses me off, you know what I mean? But when I read these books, I try to vet them as much as possible so that they are facts and not, because the internet, you can't trust just like, the top Google hit for one topic. You need to research some books, trust that the people putting the data together and the information can be, for the most part, trusted, that they're giving you factual information. So I really do enjoy reading about statistics. It is one way for us to understand the world around us, which, I don't know, gives me comfort. Even though it seems bleak, I am not hopeless, and we cannot lose our hope, because it's apparent that in the United States, all of our systems are crumbling, and because we can't rely on anything, we can't trust anything, we have to seek out this information for ourselves, and it's very difficult when you work, 9 to 5 and you don't have the mental capacity to do so. So I'm at a place where I have some of these few hours, I have the mental capacity, and I'm also pushing myself to have it, and being unafraid of gathering more information and pushing back against any anti-intelligence campaigns. So I am going to log off here, and I'm going to start tomorrow with chapter 3. That's going to be very interesting. I'm excited. This is a great read. There's a lot of solid information here. I'm going to post this video so you can go back and watch it and catch up a little bit, so you have the information as well. And thank you for tuning in and staying in the know with me. I will see you tomorrow at around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you then.